Hi guys, Miss Malik here. Today we're moving on from parabolas and we're going to sketch the graph of f of x equals x minus 2 cubed plus 1. It's a good idea to think of the basic graph of f of x equals x cubed for a start, and then think about what you do to that in steps. So first of all, we would move 2 units to the right. So now we would have our point of inflection at 2, 0. We then have the plus 1 to worry about, so we move up 1, giving us a new point of inflection at 2, 1, and there it is. If you do it in steps, it means you're less likely to forget something. Let's do another one. This time we're going to sketch f of x equals negative x minus 1 cubed plus 2. Once again, let's think of the basic graph of x cubed. There it is there. Negative x cubed means we reflect it. There it is. Here we have negative x minus 1 cubed. So we move across to the right 1 unit. Finally, we have negative x minus 1 cubed plus 2. So now we've just gone up 2. And there it is. Let's try another one. This time we have a dilation. So y equals 2, x plus 1 cubed plus 2. This time I'm going to look at how we got to our equation by mapping it from the basic graph of y equals x cubed. So when y equals x cubed, the point xy, to make it into 2x plus 1 cubed plus 2, becomes x minus 1, 2y plus 2. So x image equals x minus 1 and y image equals 2y plus 2. Let's rearrange that to find x and y. X equals x plus 1 and y equals y image over 2 minus 1. Let's substitute it in. So we get y image over 2 minus 1 equals x image plus 1 squared. Let's rearrange. Take the 1 over to the right and then multiply by 2. And we get back to our 2x plus 1 cubed plus 2. We don't need to show that. It's just that I wanted to point out how we got from y equals x cubed to the graph that we've got here. Let's sketch it in the usual way. So from y equals x cubed, we would go 1 unit to the left. Then we would go 2 units in the positive direction of the y-axis. So we have our new point of inflection at negative 1, 2. As you can see, we therefore have x and y intercepts. We need to find these by substituting 0 for x and y. So we have an x-intercept at negative 2, 0 and a y-intercept at 0, 4. It's important to show these. We don't need to worry about the dilation because this is already shown by the fact that we have points on our graph. Those points would not be the same if we didn't have that dilation. So don't forget to show your intercepts and point of inflection. Moving on, we have a graph of a x plus h cubed plus k, and it has a point of 0 gradient at 1, 1 and passes through the point 0, 4. We want to find the values of a, h and k. First of all, we know that the gradient equals 0 at the point of inflection. So that gives us 2 pieces of information. First of all, that h is negative 1 and k is 1, because those 2 values make up our point of inflection. So far, we've got y equals a, x minus 1 cubed plus 1. We've also got another piece of information, and that is that 0, 4 is a point on this graph. Let's substitute in for x and y. 4 equals a, 0 minus 1 cubed plus 1. Rearranging, we get a equals negative 3. Let's actually write the equation of the graph. Y equals negative 3, which is a, open brackets, x minus 1, which is h, cubed, plus 1, which is k. And there you have it. Don't forget that the gradient is 0 at the point of inflection or at the turning point. Next, let's find the rule for the image of the graph of y equals x to the 5 under a reflection in the y-axis, a dilation of factor 2 from the y-axis, translation of 2 units in the positive direction of the x-axis and translation of 3 units in the positive direction of the y-axis. Let's first do the reflection in the y-axis. We know that that means the point xy becomes negative xy. Remember that a reflection in the y-axis affects your x values and vice versa. Done. Let's talk about the dilation of factor 2 from the y-axis. Again, the dilation from the y-axis affects the x value to end up with negative 2x y. Done. Let's now look at our translation of 2 units in the positive direction of the x-axis. So it becomes negative 2x plus 2 y. Done. And lastly, the translation of 3 units in the positive direction of the y-axis. That becomes negative 2x plus 2 and then y plus 3. Done. Let's now say what x image and y image equal. X image equals negative 2x plus 2 and y image equals y plus 3. Let's rearrange. We get x is negative x image on 2 plus 1 and y is y image minus 3. It's important to find x and y because we want to substitute that into the original of y equals x to the 5. We can't substitute x image or y image in because y image and x image are not the same as x and y. Now that we've got x and y, we can substitute them into y equals x to the 5 and we get y image minus 3 equals negative x image on 2 plus 1 to the 5. Let's rearrange so we can get y on its own. Y image equals negative x image on 2 plus 1 to the 5 plus 3. We then want to take the 2 out from under the x image. Remember that that 2 is actually 1 on 2. It's like saying negative half x image plus 1 to the 5. So negative half to the power of 5 gives us negative 1 on 32. Because I've taken the 2 out, I have to then, or the negative 1 on 32 it becomes, I have to then make sure that I take it out from the plus 1 as well, which leaves us with negative 2. So our final answer there being y image equals negative 1 on 32, open brackets, x image minus 2 to the power of 5 plus 3. Next, we've got a graph of y equals a, x plus h to the 4 plus k. It's got a turning point at 2, 2 and passes through the point 0, 4. Find the values of a, h and k. This isn't too hard. The turning point is at 2, 2. That gives us 2 pieces of information, being that h is negative 2 and k is 2. Remember that that's the turning point. We can put those in, so we get y equals a, x minus 2 cubed plus 2. We then have the information that 0, 4 is a point. Let's sub that in. So 4 equals a, 0 minus 2 to the 4 plus 2. 16a plus 2 equals 4, and rearranging we can get a equals 1/8. It's a good idea to actually state the equation with the values you found for a, h and k. We'll do that here. The question doesn't directly ask it, but I think it's a good idea. Y equals 1/8, x minus 2 cubed plus 2. And that's it.